Hi there. So I wanted to share a personal experience that I had with God that really continues to transform how I view prayer and how I view God Himself. So I'm a full-time student. I've been a student now for a couple years now. It's taken me some time to complete my degree because I have other responsibilities. I do have a family to attend to and work as well. So it's been difficult to juggle and balance, as you all know, as an adult. It's adult life. I recently completed my final exam, and it was a difficult exam, needless to say. And when I completed my exam, I knew that I was at a certain grade. I was pulling an A in the class at the time, but the final really did a toll on my grade and dropped it significantly. So I was literally 1 point, and this was just a week ago this happened, literally 1 point away from passing my class. And in that moment, I did have a moment of, what is God doing here? Because I know the God I serve. I know that He's not someone that is hard of hearing. I know that He is always willing and able to hear the prayers of His people. So I'd fasted the day before, or the day of, actually, now I think about it. I was fasting that day, prayed continually throughout the week. So I was expecting more than what I was seeing before me, which was a grade that was not passing. Just literally, it was actually less than a point. It was 0.7 points away from my goal. So, I prayed again in that moment, and I said, okay, God, what are we doing here? And it just reminded me too of a biblical reference in the story, the book of Judges. I'll actually just read it to you. It says, Judges 7, verse 2. This is Gideon's battle against the Midianites. And the Lord said to Gideon, the people are too many that are with thee. There are too many for me to give to the Midianites into their hands. Lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, my own hand hath saved me. And vaunt, in other words, is to boast. So instead of using thousands of soldiers to fight against the Midianites, God chose to use just a few. 300 was the total amount of men that He used. And that is quite a few considering going up against a large army. Now, God does things like this so we can see and really identify that it's His hand that is moving and not ours. And I thought to myself, this must be what's going on here. So again, I kind of looked over my assignments. And when I looked over my assignments, I noticed that there were still 4 assignments that needed to be graded. So, okay, I'm thinking, all right, there's some hope here. There's some hope. So I kind of anxiously kept checking my email because I do attend an online school. So the way I know if grades are updated is through email. Then I'll check the clinical site or the site that we use for my school. And so I kept anxiously checking it every 5 minutes or so. And each time it would just go up. Once the professor graded an assignment, it would go up 0.2 points. So almost there, not quite there. And then when she finally graded the last assignment, I got exactly what I needed to pass that class. And I said, God, you have an amazing way of working, because if it had been me doing it, I would have said, oh, I got a great grade. I did this. I passed this class. I did the hard work. I studied, but I absolutely did study. I took time, went to the library. I put in the work. But despite that, there were still some shortcomings. But even in my shortcomings, God used it to exceed everything that I had asked for. And I'm still so gracious to him because we really are all at the mercies of God. And that's something I wanted to remind each and every one of you today. We're the mercies of God. We're not the mercies of the enemy. We're not the mercies of the devil. He does not have as much power as he's been told he has by some people. He doesn't. God has all authority. God has all power. So we need to give credit where credit is due. And in saying so, I knew at that time, and I just said, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for answered prayers. And not just this prayer, just everything. If you really take a moment to think back to all that God has done, you just be reminded, and you just have to sit in awe of, wow, yeah, he really did come through. So for those of you that are believers, those of you that are not, I want to encourage each and every one of you to not give up on God, to continue to trust in him. His word is sure. He's faithful. He's more faithful than your friend, your brother, your mother, because we as human beings, we fail each other. We fail ourselves a lot of the times. We can't even rely on our own thoughts or our own feelings because they're not trustworthy. Only God himself is trustworthy. So please just trust in him, rely on him, and just be sure and certain that if he places a desire in your heart to complete something, he is faithful to complete that promise and to fulfill that promise. So I really hope this encourages someone today. And take a look at this story in Judges, chapter 7. Read the entire story of Gideon. Gideon also, of course, he was a human being. He also had fears and needed to be encouraged, and we also need to be encouraged as well. But I pray, Lord, that this does encourage someone today, and that you hold on to the almighty hand of God, because whatever the situation is, whether it's school, it's finances, it's a relationship, spouse, a child relationship, whatever it may be, God is faithful. Give him a chance, say a word of prayer, and watch the hand of God move. You won't be disappointed.